So we have a little tinge of sunrise light in a very cloudy sky. People want to have the blessing of rain for the new year here, the Jewish New Year. But many times there's more cloud than rain. And this morning we're traveling all over Galilee with Jesus in the Gospel account. It's in the beginning of Luke chapter 8, very rich chapter. And Jesus traveled from one town to another. Here we have Nain, of course Nazareth, Cana. Eventually we have Magdala, Capernaum, Bethsaida. Here the map records the dispute about the two Bethsaidas. Maybe that will be resolved definitively. It's in the process. Chorazin is also mentioned in the Gospels. Then there were other towns, and not too many more towns besides the ones I named are referred to in the Gospels. But you have all these other towns, and that's the reason for this map, to show us the extent of Jesus' public ministry. All over Galilee. So many other towns. And there's only a fraction of them here. This is an artistic map, obviously with geographical solid content, but not all accurately placed geographically because of the artistic distribution. Like ancient maps, this is done in the style of the map of Madaba with 1.5 million stones. And there the sun has appeared for us. So the artist is Maria Jesus Ortiz de Fernandez from Chile. And there were also other artists involved and technical people from Italy. That's really turning out very beautiful now. What I wanted to do was actually go inside. I didn't have hope that we'd have such a nice sky. I thought it was going to be completely all grey and undefined. But I want to go in here for a moment and then we can go outside again, because the first three pillars here right inside the door are straight out of today's gospel passage. As Jesus travels around Galilee, he's going with the 12 and the women. Come on, camera. So there's already a group of pilgrims in here. Magdala starts early. Every group has their own. I'm doing live stream. So the reason I came in here was for these three pillars. The first ones you have coming in. And here we have Mary Magdalene. Let's read the text that we have this morning. Jesus journeyed from one town and village to another, preaching and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. Accompanying him were the 12, but no names are mentioned, just the 12. And the women, Mary Magdalene, Susanna and Johanna, the wife of Chusa, and many others. So these three pillars come straight out of Luke chapter 8. And many others is often referred to as well, so we have another textual reference here. Mark 15. And these three pillars honor the women. And we leave that like that for here, and let's go out and enjoy the view outside. Some people are still coming into that group, and it's going to be easier to do it this way. So I often think about these women, you know, and Mary Magdalene, Susanna, and Johanna, and many others. And Susanna and Johanna is the wife of Chusa. And Chusa is the head administrator of Herod Antipas. So he's the chief manager of the kingdom. He has the keys of the kingdom, so to say, that biblical image that we see often in the scriptures. So he's in charge of all Herod's kingdom's operations. So what's the implication of that then? Well, it means that he's living in the palace, he's in the center of power, he's making lots of decisions, and his wife is there as well. So that speaks volumes for me about where these women are located in society. And they're hanging together. And now they're hanging together with Jesus, not with Herod's palace. And that's the beginning of a whole revolution that's happening. And it's a revolution that's happening not only in their own lives, but it's going to have projection far and wide. And it's the midst of a very pagan world. Like right there now we have Tiberias. This is the modern Tiberias, of course. And the classical Tiberias was further south in the Roman period, maybe about almost a mile south of there. A good half mile to the north end of it and a good mile to the south end of it. So you have a very Roman pagan society. Obviously people were also doing good for looking out for their family, and they were building roads and everything, but it was a society that didn't have the highest value in the human being. The biggest value was money and power and fame and influence, but not the human person as such. Now that's changing. And if we leap forward to the letter to Timothy, there's a big change now in the tone of the letter. And we also have a very pagan society still, but we have a large Christian community, or a decent-sized Christian community in Ephesus. That's where Timothy is located. Ephesus is a very strong city. And what's interesting is when you read between the lines here, Paul isn't giving instructions for the pagan community. He's giving it for the disciples. And here we have a lot of division inside the community. There are people who have been disagreeing, who have been arguing, who are struggling because they're all coming in with their philosophies and their mentality and their mindset, which is very worldly. And the proclamation of Jesus and the gospel is a very different one. Deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. There's a kingdom of heaven. This kingdom is not the be-all and end-all of life. And so they're struggling within themselves, and the community is also feeling that struggle. The process of evangelizing a society is a process of leaven in the big mass of dough, and it's a little salt that's in there changing the flavor, and it's a light shining in the darkness. And there isn't a status quo. And there's a big challenge for each person and also for the leadership. And so encouraging Titus to teach and urge things. And it's very critical language here, if you look at the text, of those who are taking the focus away from the core message of Jesus. Oh, you're back. Wow, it wiped out everybody, and now somebody is back. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to save this or not. People, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to save the whole thread here because there was a major interruption, and it's not a Wi-Fi problem because the Wi-Fi was disconnected and didn't reconnect, and that was good. But somehow the audio interrupted and it told me that. And you're all back, which is amazing. I'm impressed. But I'm not sure what to do right now. I'm not sure if the first part of the live stream will be conserved. It's possible that it's lost, but I'm not sure of that. It might have just started over itself completely from scratch. That I don't know. So I think just do a little summary in case it was all scratched. So we have the starting off of Jesus' ministry here at the Sea of Galilee with these women coming out of high society. The wife of the top administrator of Herod, the tetrarch Herod Antipas, with his base here in Tiberias, just down the road here. You can see between the trees there in the center of the screen. And then we have a much later stage in the letter to Timothy. And we have a community that's already very established in Ephesus, relatively speaking. It's a still first generation, second generation community. But the battle continues of the message of the gospel transforming hearts in a pagan society. And the battle continues not just from outside against the members, but inside the heart and lives of the members. And each one has to decide and choose. And that's where we were cut off, more or less. And so we find here that Timothy is challenged by Paul to also be a man of God and to not have greed in his heart. And you, man of God, avoid all this. Pursue righteousness, devotion, faith, love, patience, gentleness. So there's a program for all of us. We're living in a world that's not completely influenced by the gospel by any means. There's so many things that are deeply at variance. And we also have struggles within our own heart and mind, our own temptations, our own habits, what has invaded us from the world. And we have to continue that battle to keep going forward. Let's leave it like that for today. We'll see what's going to come out of this video, I'm not sure. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Let's see if the whole video retained or not, but I won't be able to know that for a little while. I want to go to the Instagram now.